Hello everyone. Today's poem is "登鹳雀楼" by Wang Zhihuan. If you just want to pick only one poem from the so many Tang poems, this one is the one. It represents the true value, the true characteristics of the Tang people, of the Tang poems. Simple, strong, open-minded, with very extraordinary broad wheels. Most importantly, keep moving forward. So that's the spirit of the Tang dynasty, and that's the spirit reflected in the poems of the Tang dynasty. This poem is a very typical poem about climbing up to the peak of a mountain or climb up a high-rise building. So when the people reach to the most top place, they look into the far distance to appreciate the view and also express their thoughts and feelings. 鹳雀楼 was a high-rise building on the east bank of the Yellow River, and to the east is another very famous mountain, 中条山, and here is a very strategic fort at the time. It was so-called Pujin, and also this county was so-called Puzhou. Another very famous poet, Wang Wei, his hometown was in Puzhou. And also, there's a very, very famous love story happened at this place. The famous love story was believed to be the own story of Yuan Zhen, a very famous mid-Tang poet. We had one of his poems, 曾经沧海难为水. So he wrote his own story as a novel. Today we call it Tang 传奇. Later on, in Yuan dynasty, Wang Shipu wrote a Chinese drama based on this story. It's a very, very famous Chinese drama even till today, and all this happened here. So we know a lot about this place, and we don't know too much about the poet himself. Even his poem was recited by the most elder people, and he recited by the very young kid at his time, not to say today. But there's not a record in the official history book because he has a very, very junior primitive level position. So because mostly people think because he's such a low level rank officers, no matter how great fame he owned by his poet, the official history book won't write about him. So until very recently in 1930s, his epitaph was unearthed in Luoyang City. We know a little bit about his life story, when he was born, when he died. And before this time, the only thing we know about him is only 6 poems left till today. And he was categorized as the blockage castle poet, 边塞诗人, and he was one of the 4 most pillar poet to the blockage castle type of poems, just by 6 poems left it till today. And also we know he's so popular of the time, and that's all. From his epitaph, we know He showed his extremely talent in an early age, but he never went to the imperial exam, so that's a big question mark till today. And then he get a very junior position in his hometown at around the age of 30, but very quickly quit that job. And he's away from the government for 15 years. And during the time, he was believed to travel around, and especially to the frontier areas. So he was famous as one of the four pillar poets on the 边塞诗, the blockage castle poet. He made a lot of friends as well with Gao Shi, Chen Sen, Wang Changling, and also a lot of the stories about their friendship remain still today. And at his very last 2 or 3 years, finally he was persuaded by his relatives, by his friends, that it's better to go to the decent career path to get a position in the government. And finally he listened to them and went to Wenanxian, a place very near Beijing, very near my home, and take a very low-ranking position there. But not more than a year, he died there. So that's his respectfully simple and somewhat strange life story. A great but simple poet, and let's see his great and very simple poem now. 登鹳雀楼，王之涣。白日依山尽，黄河入海流。欲穷千里目，更上一层楼。A very simple one. A kids know it very easily. 登鹳雀楼 climbed up the high-rise building of 鹳雀. 鹳雀 is the name for that building. The name came from the bird along the yellow rivers, and from the name 鹳, it reminds me of another very ancient classic poem, 关雎. So it describes the birds on the yellow rivers. Its sounding is 关关雎鸠, 关关雎鸠. Feel it. And here, 鹳雀. 鹳is this bird was naming by its sound. So the sound is 鹳. And in the book of songs, 关雎, 关关雎鸠, 关关, that's the sound of that bird, sound simulation of that sound. Now the first sentence, 白日依山尽, the white sun is getting very near, get close to the mountains in the west, and finally it disappeared. 黄河入海流, the yellow river went to the seas and is rushing, is going fast. 欲穷千里目, if you want to look to the most far distant 1,000 miles away. 穷 means it's not poor. It means in the classic Chinese always means the very end. So here it means if you reach the very limit of your eyesight, 1,000 miles far in the distance. 更上一层楼, you climb up one more floor. With the first two sentences, it brings you to the very limit your eyesight or even your eyesight cannot reach because you never saw the Yellow River going into the sea from this place. It's 1,000 miles away actually, so you never see that. The wonderful technique applied here is the first sentence actually is depicting the real scenic views. You saw the sun is dropping down and finally it disappeared, and even the sun disappeared, for sure something still in your mind, this image of suns. So you are more focused on the image in your brain rather than in the reality, because in the reality there's nothing at all. And the second sentence actually is talking something not real, not in your eyesight. You never saw the Yellow River rushing into the oceans. But with the first sentence, it brings you from the reality to something virtually in your brains, and you are quite focused in the brains. And then in the second sentence, continue to describe the virtual scenic views, which suggest you saw these things like the real things. That's the wonderful writing technique. And normally, you start with such high pitch, such a strong mind. It's hardly to continues. So from the third sentences, the poet totally changed to another angle. With the first two sentences, when you're reading it, most probably you are trying to imagine the magnificent whales and try to compare with the real whales. You have things in your life. And with the third sentence, it brings you into the situation. 欲穷千里目 is a question to the readers. Are you want to extend your eyesight to the very limit, 1,000 miles away? It's far beyond where the sun goes down. It's far beyond where the Yellow River going into the sea, going into the oceans. It's some place mysterious, somewhere beyond. So that brings you the big questions and also bring you into the meditation or to these questions. And actually, the poet didn't need you to answer. He answered by himself. Actually, at this, the fourth sentence, you feel that the poet is talking to you. Just go up a floor. Another very obvious characteristic is all the four sentences is perfectly dual relationed. Let's see the first two sentences. 白日, the white sun, and then it related with Yellow River. 依山尽, yi is a verb, it's getting close. And 黄河入海流, 入 is a verb, going into the sea. 山尽海流, so that's the perfect match or dual related. Normally, the poet won't let all the sentences dual related, because that will make the poet, normally it's very dull, not lively. But here, he made the perfect dual relations with all the four sentences, but you never feel you are limited because the mindset, the strong spirit, which means no matter what kind of status you are with, you can always encourage yourself to move forward, to go to a upper level than your current status. And also with the real situation, the real scenic views depicted in these pictures, if you happened to visit this place, it's very naturally to remind you of this poem, and also it very naturally remind you of to go up, to encourage yourself to go forward. Very naturally, for Chinese, when someone overcome a very big difficulty, he still or she still like to use this poem to encourage him or herself. 更上一层楼. So when we compare the spirit of this poem to the life stories of the poet Wang Zhihuan, it's so hard to imagine that a person with such a life experience can write something with such a strong and open-minded voice or poem. Anyhow, that may be the most prosperous Tang time. That's Wang Zhihuan himself. Okay, bye-bye for today.